This is why your programmed drums don't feel real. They are lifeless, they feel like a robot, and they deserve better. I have 3 quick fixes for you today that help me take this drum beat to this. By the way, if you like this riff, it's from my Dark Riff Diary series episode 2. I'll set a link for you somewhere to check it out. Okay, first fix for your lifeless drums, velocity. Let's compare the velocity of our 2 drums beat. As you can see on the first one here, the velocity is the same for all the hits, whereas on the other one, the velocity changed for all the hits. You have to keep in mind that drummers are human, of course, and they never hit the same way twice. Let's concentrate on the first 2 bars by starting with the kick. We could imagine our drummer is going to play with a double kick, so maybe he will hit harder with his right foot rather than the left. First hit could be harder. Then here it could be a crescendo of some sort. Maybe the snare could hit a bit harder as well. And same thing for the crash. Maybe a real drummer would emphasize the first hit. I feel everything could hit a bit harder, so let's select everything and raise the velocity a bit more. So a quick before and after. It's a bit more natural, but not quite there yet. My next quick fix for that is quantization or timing. Let me zoom in on the MIDI region and let's compare with the finished drum beat. So this is before. Everything is extremely quantized to the grid. Now let's check the finished drums. As you can see, the hits are not always completely on the grid. And the reason for that is that drummers are human and they are not machines that hit everything at the same time every time. Let's hear the subtle difference between a very quantized drums and a more natural one. Now let's get back to the first 2 bars of our beat. Now I can think of 3 quick ways to take action on that. The first one is just to move around the MIDI hits with your mouse. Also, you can re-record the MIDI part yourself. For that, you can use your computer keyboard if you don't have any gear, or use a MIDI keyboard or pads if you have some. Or you can use the MIDI functions in your DAW. In Logic, you can find them in the editor in Functions, MIDI Transform, and then you have a Humanize function. So here you're going to be able to randomize the velocity by plus or minus the range you set here, and same thing with the position or timing of the notes and the length. For the sake of the example, I'm just going to set it as it is, and let's check what it does on the notes when I hit operate. They moved! So before and after. It's definitely subtle, but we can increase the range. I don't want the velocity to change too much, but maybe we could change the position a bit more. There we go. I'm just gonna need the first hit of the region to be quantized so it hits with my region here. So I'm going to keep it that way. A thing I mentioned in my Dark Riff Diary video is that in Addictive Drums 2, I love the fact that in the Beats tab, you can obviously browse through a large amount of MIDI drum beats, but they included some random knobs that can do exactly what I showed you before. So you can impact the timing and the velocity of the drum beats directly in the plugin. I'm sure other plugins do it, don't worry about it. I think GGD plugins have a humanize function of some sort. Before going to the last tip for today, let me know in the comments what you think and if those kind of video helps you make better music. Also, I'm curious about what you are using as drum plugins, so please let me know in the comments. And why not like the video at the same time and subscribe to the channel. And the last tip is reverb, as in space. If you're using a drum plugin like Addictive Drums 2 or any other one, usually in the presets there is some sort of room included, but if you're working with drum samples, you'll have to set it by yourself. So since the beginning of the video, and to illustrate my point, I muted the room reverb and also the other send reverbs on my drum preset. And this is really gonna make a huge difference. So let's loop the drum beat and let me activate and mute the room back and forth so you can hear the difference it makes. here it really spread the drums a bit more on the stereo, and it makes a huge difference. Let's try to increase the volume of this room reverb. And let me show you the other two reverbs I have set. They are here to make the snare sound bigger. So here's the first one with the snare. And there is also a gated reverb for the snare as well. Once again, it really expands the snare on the stereo, makes it sound bigger. Let's hear the snare with the two reverbs. And by itself. So here's the drum without the reverbs. And with. Really adds a lot of excitement in the drums. And now let's hear that with the guitar and the bass without reverb first. And with the reverb. I think I can increase the China volume. So, we had velocity to shape our accents, timing to shape our groove, and finally, reverb to shape the space of our drums. Here's the final before and after for our drum loop. Alright, so I hope you learned some stuff today with this quick dive on drum programming. If this helped, hit like and drop me a comment. I hope you enjoyed this quicker, candy-sized bite of music production tips. If you want to see how I build this heavy riff starting from scratch with this drum loop, I suggest to check this Dark Riff Diary video, or go over here if you want to check more music production tips. Thank you so much for watching, I'll see you later.